He texted her, "I'm sorry. After 3 years." She replied, with one word. He didn't text her because he missed her. He texted her because his life got quiet enough to finally hear what he had done. 3 years after disappearing from a 4-year relationship, Noah sent his ex one message at 1:13 in the morning. "Hey, I know this is random, but I'm sorry. I was young, I didn't understand what I lost. You were the best thing that ever happened to me." For 3 minutes, he stared at the screen. Typing. Not typing. Typing again. Then her reply came. One word. "Thanks." No anger, no paragraph, no question, no, "I miss you too." Just, "Thanks." And 4 minutes later, Noah blocked her, because he didn't come back for peace. He came back to check if the door was still open, and when he found out it wasn't, his ego couldn't survive the silence. Her name was Ava. She was 28 now, living in Denver, working as a graphic designer, renting a small apartment with plants by the window and a coffee table she bought after the breakup, because she wanted something in her life that didn't remind her of him. Noah had been her first real adult love, not her first boyfriend, her first, "I can see a future with you" love. They met in college, moved in together too fast, built a whole life out of cheap furniture, shared passwords, inside jokes, Sunday grocery trips, and the kind of memories that make leaving feel impossible even when staying hurts. For 4 years, Ava believed they were building something. Noah believed it too, at least in the beginning. But then he started changing, in the quiet way people change when they're too cowardly to say they want out. He became less present, more irritated, more private with his phone. He stopped asking how her day was. He stopped touching her when they passed each other in the kitchen. He stopped saying "we" when he talked about the future. And Ava noticed. Women usually notice before men think they do. They notice the smaller kisses, the delayed replies, the tone shift. The way a person is technically there, but emotionally packed already. She asked him what was wrong. He said, "Nothing." She asked if he still loved her. He said, "Of course." She asked why it felt different. He said, "You're overthinking." That sentence became the beginning of the end. Because when someone says you're overthinking enough times, what they're really doing is teaching you not to trust your own pain. Ava tried harder. That's what people do when they feel love slipping away. They don't leave first. They try to become easier to love. She cooked more, asked fewer questions, gave him more space, tried to be less emotional, tried to act cool when he went out and didn't text, tried to ignore the feeling in her stomach when he smiled at his phone. But love should not turn you into a detective in your own home. And one night, Noah did what emotionally immature people do when they don't have the courage to end something honestly. He made her feel crazy until she became exhausted enough to blame herself. Then he left. Not with a real conversation, not with respect, not with closure, a text. "I don't think I can do this anymore. I need to figure myself out." 4 years, reduced to one message. Ava called him 17 times that night. He didn't answer. She drove to his apartment. His roommate said he wasn't home. She later found out he had gone to a bar. That was the night something in her broke. Not because he left. People are allowed to leave. What destroyed her was realizing he had emotionally abandoned her long before he had the decency to say it. For months after that, Ava lived in survival mode. She couldn't sleep. She checked her phone every morning, hoping he had changed his mind. She replayed old conversations until they lost all meaning. She wondered what she did wrong. Was she too needy, too emotional, too available, too loyal? That's the cruelest part of being abandoned without respect. You don't just lose the person. You start negotiating with your own worth. Noah moved on fast. At least that's what Instagram made it look like. Parties, new friends, a girl with blonde hair in the background of photos, a smile Ava hadn't seen in months. And every post felt like a second breakup, because he looked free while she felt buried. But here's the truth people don't like to admit. Some people don't move on. They just distract themselves loudly. Noah wasn't healed, he was running. And running can look like confidence when nobody sees what happens at night. Ava eventually stopped looking, not because she stopped caring immediately, because looking was humiliating her. She blocked him first, then unblocked him, then blocked him again. Then deleted old photos, then cried because deleting photos felt like deleting proof that the love had been real. Healing wasn't clean, it wasn't cinematic, it was ugly. Some days she felt strong, some days she wanted to text him just to ask why. Some days she hated him. Some days she missed him so much the hate disappeared. But slowly, very slowly, her nervous system stopped waiting for him. That is what moving on really is. Not forgetting, not pretending it didn't matter. It's the day your body no longer jumps when your phone lights up. Ava built a new life, not a perfect one, a real one. She changed jobs, started therapy, made new friends, went on bad dates, went on one good date and still cried afterward because being treated gently felt unfamiliar. She learned that closure is not something another person gives you. Closure is what you build when you stop asking the person who hurt you to explain your value. 3 years passed. Noah became a memory with a scar around it. Then his message came. It was raining that night. Ava was in bed, watching some crime documentaries she wasn't really paying attention to, when an unknown number appeared on her phone. At first she ignored it. Then she saw the preview. "Hey Ava, it's Noah." Her stomach dropped, not because she wanted him back, because the body remembers before the mind decides. She stared at the message for a long time, then opened it. He had written a full apology, not a terrible one. That was the confusing part. It sounded mature. He said he was sorry for leaving the way he did. He said he was ashamed. He said he didn't understand love back then. He said he had spent years comparing everyone to her. He said she deserved better. He said he hoped she was happy. And if this had come 3 years earlier, it would have meant everything. But timing changes the meaning of words. An apology when someone is bleeding can feel like medicine. An apology after they healed can feel like someone knocking on a house you no longer live in. Ava read it twice. Then she put the phone down. Her first instinct was to write a paragraph, not because she owed him one, because old pain loves a courtroom. It wants to present evidence. It wants to say, "Do you know what you did to me?" It wants the other person to finally understand the size of the damage. But then Ava asked herself one question. What am I hoping to get from this? That question saved her. Because sometimes replying is not communication. Sometimes it is opening a door just to see if the old wound still knows your name. She didn't want him back. She didn't trust him. She didn't need his apology to become whole. So, she typed one word. Thanks. Then she put the phone face down and waited. Not for hope, for reaction. And it came. 4 minutes later, the message turned green. He had blocked her. Ava stared at it. Then she laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was clear. That block told her more than his apology did. Noah didn't want peace. He wanted access. He wanted emotion. He wanted proof that he still mattered enough to disturb her. He wanted tears, anger, a long message, maybe even a crack in the door. And when she gave him calm, he couldn't use it. That is the hidden truth about some apologies. They are not repair. They are fishing lines. They are sent out into the dark to see if the other person still bites. A real apology can survive a small response. A real apology doesn't punish you for not reopening the wound. A real apology says, "I hurt you, and I don't get to decide how you receive that." But ego apologies need a performance. They need you to cry. They need you to forgive. They need you to say, "I still think about you." They need your pain to prove their importance. Noah didn't get that from Ava, so he disappeared again. Only this time, it didn't break her. It confirmed her healing. The next morning, Ava told her friend Maya about it over coffee. Maya said, "Wait, he wrote you that whole apology and then blocked you because you said thanks?" Ava nodded. Maya leaned back and said, "That man didn't want forgiveness. He wanted a reaction." And that was exactly it. Because when someone returns years later, the question is not always, do they still love me? Sometimes the real question is, what happened in their life that made them need validation from the person they once abandoned? Maybe Noah got dumped. Maybe he was lonely. Maybe the new life didn't feel as free as he thought it would. Maybe he finally realized Ava had loved him better than he knew how to receive. But none of that automatically made him safe. Regret is not the same as growth. Missing someone is not the same as being ready to love them. And saying "I'm sorry" is not the same as becoming the kind of person who wouldn't do it again. That afternoon, Ava went for a walk. The city looked ordinary, cars passing, people with coffee, a dog barking at nothing. And for the first time, she thought about Noah without pain tightening her chest. She didn't feel victory. She didn't feel revenge. She felt free. Because the old Ava would have begged for answers. The old Ava would have sent screenshots to friends. The old Ava would have spent 3 days writing the perfect response. The new Ava understood something deeper. Not every message deserves your emotional labor. Not every apology deserves access. Not every person from your past deserves to know who you became after surviving them. That night, Noah checked his blocked list twice. He told himself Ava was cold. He told himself she had changed. He told himself she didn't care. But deep down, he knew the truth. Ava had not changed into someone cruel. She had changed into someone unavailable to the version of him that hurt her. And that is what growth looks like from the outside. It looks cold to the person who benefited from your warmth. A few weeks later, Ava ran into one of Noah's old friends at a bookstore. He said, "I heard Noah reached out." Ava smiled politely. "He did." The friend looked uncomfortable. "He's been going through a hard time." Ava nodded. "I'm sorry to hear that." Then she walked away. No explanation, no defense, no need to prove she was not the villain. That was the final sign she had healed. Because when you're still wounded, you want everyone to understand your side. When you're healed, you realize peace doesn't need witnesses. The truth is, Noah did love Ava once, in his own limited way. But love without maturity can still destroy people. Love without courage becomes avoidance. Love without accountability becomes nostalgia. Love without respect becomes a memory someone uses when they're lonely. And Ava had finally learned the difference between being loved and being needed for someone else's emotional comfort. There is a reason old messages hit so hard. They don't just bring back a person. They bring back a version of you. The version who waited. The version who begged. The version who ignored red flags because love felt bigger than self-respect. The version who thought being chosen by them would finally prove you were enough. That is why you have to be careful when the past knocks. Sometimes it is not a second chance. Sometimes it is a test of whether you still abandon yourself for familiar pain. Ava's one-word reply was not cruelty. It was a boundary. It said, "I heard you." It said, "I don't hate you." It said, "But you don't get the emotional access you used to have." And that is why Noah blocked her, because he didn't come to make peace with what he did. He came to feel powerful over the woman who once loved him too much. But she was not that woman anymore. So here's the truth. When someone who broke you comes back years later, pay attention to what they do after you don't react the way they hoped. That is where their real intention shows. If they respect your distance, maybe they grew. If they punish your peace, they only missed control. And the most powerful response is not always a paragraph. Sometimes it is one calm word, and then continuing your life. So here's the question. If the person who broke your heart texted you tonight saying, "I'm sorry," would you answer from healing, or from the wound that still wants them to care?